Speedrunning video games is something that I absolutely love. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not myself a speedrunner, but I love watching all the videos, anything from especially my childhood, watching people crush Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, even like bizarre games to speedrun. Like, there's a Pokemon Snap speedrunning category. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. The whole thing, though, I love. It just brings new life into games, and it's really been growing in popularity over time. It just gets more and more popular, this idea of speedrunning these games. So much so that recent years have actually brought different IRL speedrunning events. I think of something called Games Done Quick. That is something that happens, I believe, biannually, and it's very cool just to watch that live. Now, a lot of these games at these events, and just in general that people speedrun, are made by Nintendo. There's just something about those games that just make every game just awesome to speedrun. Well, you see, there is an event very similar to GDQ or Games Done Quick, only this is in Japan. This is called RTA in Japan. Now, they are actually going to be going live in just a few days this week, but they have just announced that they are not going to be including Nintendo games, and this is not something they wanted to do, but rather it is due to Nintendo apparently, allegedly being very difficult. So this is from Nintendo Wire, and it says RTA in Japan is a charity speedrunning event held in Japan every year that raises money for various different causes around the world. Similar to GDQ, RTA in Japan has competitors run their favorite games while live streaming their attempts at breaking world records, or simply putting up new personal bests. Popular Nintendo games were featured at the event in the past, but 2025 will be different. As the company explains on its website, this year's event will not showcase any Nintendo games, as RTA was told that it would need to apply for permission on a per-game basis to feature any titles. Yeah, I am not kidding. That is what Nintendo has allegedly told them. Now, this is all breaking from the RTA in Japan Twitter account. It's sort of an announcement here. Now, if I click on this, we get their whole write-up on all of this. So they say that we would like to explain how we have come to use games for which Nintendo Company holds the copyright in RTA in Japan, and why Nintendo games are not being used in RTA in Japan summer 2025, as well as our future actions. Now, this has been translated, so some of the stuff kind of sounds off, but essentially they say that on June 13th, this is about a month and a half ago, Nintendo allegedly reached out to them and said that the use of Nintendo games by a corporation requires prior permission. They also said that RTA's previous use of their games, of Nintendo's games, was without prior permission and constituted unauthorized use. Now, they do go on to say that they want to continue using Nintendo games in future events, so they anticipate they will have more time to put in like an application for each game. But this begs the question, why? Why has Nintendo decided to start doing this? Because to my understanding, they never had to do this like with GDQ, whenever you were going to speedrun any of those games, and yeah, RTA in Japan is basically the same as GDQ. So it seems to me that this is just a new rule that Nintendo has added. For what reason, we really don't know. RTA does say that the application guidelines and the requirements will definitely change going forward for obvious reasons, and it definitely seems that this is shaking things up, especially for people who have submitted games and were, going to be playing them later on this week. People who are maybe going to speedrun like Super Mario 64 or Donkey Kong 64. I don't know, I'm just thinking of all the N64 games. They kind of got a last second notice here, and they were basically probably told that, well, you can't play your game, so don't bother making the long drive or the plane trip all the way here. But yes, long-term, big picture, I really want to know what this actually means for Nintendo going forward. Are they going to keep doing this for all events, not just speedrunning events, for any events that they consider ran by a corporation, quote-unquote? That's kind of what they put in their notice. Is anything where a corporation plays a Nintendo game going to need prior notice ahead of time? It really does seem that that is now going to be the case for Nintendo.